Um, yeah. So, anyways, all right. That's it for the Peach Bowl. Let's recap the season. We got into it a little bit there. Steve, if you had to pick a word to describe this Penn State football season, I know this wasn't on the homework part, but what word would you pick?
Deja vu.
Ooh, please elaborate.
Here we go again, right? It's the same old, same old. I mean,
Okay.
and not to be, again, same old sounds negative, right? And I can make the argument 120 other schools would kill to the 10 wins and whatever else. But there weren't any, we'll talk, I guess, best game and worst game and surprises. There were no, oh my gosh, what a great moment that's going to make this memorable, positive moments, I don't think. I mean, not there were bad moments, but there wasn't like, oh my God, that was the moment of the season. There were what you expected. Check the box. Ohio State, loss. Michigan, loss. So yeah, here we go again. We're excited in August. We're going to tailgate. We're going to grumble about some noon games. Going to be happy for some 3:30 games and night games at 8 o'clock, 7:30 are going to be exciting. And when it's all said and done, you're third in the Big Ten East and, going to bowl game. Now, of course, all that changes next year because Michigan isn't on the schedule, right? And there's no East. So it'll be different next year.
All right. I think
What was
that's
your
fair.
word?
I would go with mundane. I
Okay.
think I think in a lot of ways this season, I think you hit on it there. I don't know what the lasting memory or image of this season is going to be. Like it was a very forgetful season in a lot of ways.
Honestly, the most lasting image is going to be that kid's mom.
You think that's
It's going to be one
you
of
know
them,
what?
right?
That's gonna live. That is gonna live for
It's going to
quite a
have
long
life no
time.
matter how much she
Yeah,
explains it away. It's gonna live for
yeah,
because they caught it so well and she clearly enunciated and people are going to be able to see what she said
that's a good point.
and you're going to go back to say 10-3 and people be like, yep, what is this?
That's a good point. I was gonna we've got some superlatives. So I don't that's the thing. I don't have a I have I don't have like a favorite moment of this season in terms of the gameplay. Obviously,
Yeah.
hanging out with friends, family, all that stuff is great. Um, but yeah, I don't know what the lasting image from the season is. Last season, it's Sean Clifford's ovation at the Rose Bowl. We'll always remember that. You'll always even for those who have hated Sean Clifford, you'll always kind of remember that. This
Yeah, I mean,
season, mm,
it's there was some of it after the Peach Bowl as there was after whatever the other road game was when they won and the fan bitched at Franklin. Was it what they won in the
Maryland,
NFA?
Maryland.
Maryland. So the same thing happened at the Peach Bowl
Yeah,
after Maryland, right? Somebody said something. I mean, so that happened twice in the season, right? I
yeah.
mean, that's almost, and that maybe is lasting a thing. And I think, and I know this is the third negative thing in a row. I got the mom, I got the, I think the other thing is that's lasting and is deja vu for some would be James Franklin's, for some response to poor performances, right? And I contrast it with Nick Saban from Alabama, who in the heat of the moment, I mean, post game, 5 or 7 minutes after the game, was like, didn't do some things, totally my fault. We should have prepared him better. We learned stuff. It was a great season from where we were. My fault for not doing better. There was no my fault, even if you don't believe it. If you're him and you don't believe it, that wasn't said after the Peach Bowl. There was, oh, there's a lot of moving parts. Well, respectfully, it's someone's job to deal with those moving parts,
Right.
and it's
No,
yours.
that's a good
So
point.
feel free to say, hey, we had a lot going on. I should have put us in a better position to succeed. Right. And I think those kind of things, that kind of approach would resonate more with the fans who are ready to jump on the negative bandwagon a little better than what is said.
I think I think another word that comes to mind is just in general grumpy. And I think outside of the Iowa game, there wasn't really that impressive of a performance. The Maryland game, maybe, right? And this is a season that included three shutouts that you were like, yeah, okay, feel good. And I think it just kind of, I think both with the fans going after James Franklin, like literally going after James Franklin, the way people are talking on social media this week, the way, even in the way James Franklin talked this year, and even by some of his actions with firing Mike Yursich, it was a grumpy year, I think would be ooh, another word that kind of comes to mind when I describe and sit down and think about this season. Um, so I just wanted to ask you that because I was interested to hear your word, and glad we're relatively in the same ballpark.
No, Grumpy's good. And I have no sense. I didn't listen to Paul Feinbaum today, so I don't know what Alabama fans are feeling today, right? Like, how miserable they are or aren't by their outcome, although they were probably blessed to be in the position they were, or how miserable Ohio State fans are, right? In terms of their bowl effort, right? Like, I mean, as a
Well,
Penn State fan, you got to be happy for that. Like right now, I'll give you that optimism for 20. And I know we're not there yet, but man, Ohio State doesn't have a quarterback and Michigan isn't on the schedule at this point for Penn State in 2024. You got to be thinking that's good.
well, with and I think about this like in this that's what makes college football so complicated right now is the lens that you look through everything, right? Like Ohio State is in a better boat, in my opinion, than Penn State right now. And Alabama is in a better boat than Ohio State is in right now. But those are three fan bases right there in a row that they're probably all not happy
Right.
with the way this season shook out. Because what's another SEC title to Alabama fans? You know?
Right.
And for Ohio State, they're very much second fiddle to Michigan right now. And then you've got Penn State, who is very much second fiddle to both of those schools. So yeah, it's a complicated it's a complicated, cloudy year, I think is the best way to,
So it's kind of grumpy.
yeah, to put it.
I
Grumpy
thought that
is
was a good
good.
word.